Alrighty here, I'm doing a twofer today in case anybody watches my other video and I'm wearing the same shirt. So I want to talk a little bit about the 2020 election and even the Capitol riots, which as I speak right now in July, they're having some sort of hearing, some sort of high-level hearing or whatever you want to call it, on Capitol Hill about this whole event. Now, leading up to the event, there was a whole lot of different things going on. There was discussion about whether or not we should do mail-in ballots or in person. The Democrats wanted to do mail-in ballots, and they were able to get a lot of different laws passed and even kind of use loopholes in existing laws to create a lot of mail-in ballots. And of course the Republicans were against all that. And where would we side on that? Thing is that the argument that it was too dangerous to actually vote in person was a little bit nullified by the fact that it evidently was not too dangerous to go out and protest for things like Black Lives Matter or against social systemic racism or whatnot. That was, we were told, the real pandemic, while we were actually in a real pandemic. Isn't that funny? So it was okay for them to do all that stuff, but people, voting was too dangerous and it should be done from home. Now, I'm going to tell you, because I have worked for campaigns. The most notable one was the Obama campaign, starting in 2006, very early. And the thing is I kind of know a little bit behind the scenes how it works. And yeah, they get people's names and they know their addresses of registered Democrats, and they could certainly, we'd go to their houses and talk to them. There's one lady I had the honor of actually giving a ride. She was an older black lady in her late 70s, and I was able to actually give her a ride to the polls so she could vote. There was nothing dishonest about that. It just, or illegal or otherwise. It just so happened that I met her during my canvassing of her neighborhood, and she told me she didn't have a ride, and I said, hey, I'll give you a ride, in my personal vehicle. I wasn't loading people up in buses to go vote or anything like that, but so I mean, you do have access to your voter base in that respect, and so you are able to send them information. I would not put it above Democrats to make sure that all their people got mail-in ballots and make sure they knew how to fill them out. That's just part of the game, though, to be honest. I mean, when it comes to that, I don't know why the Republicans, I understand why they might have been resistant to it, but I don't know why they didn't try to play the game too. Like, you better make sure you get as many people voting as you can. Whether it's, if we're doing mail-in, then yeah, fight it if you want to fight it and say, hey, that's not right. But while you're doing that, you better also come up with a plan to maximize that mail-in voting as much as you can, because the other side's doing that. They failed. And that's that's on them. They ran a bad campaign. Now, Biden did not win because he was the most well-liked person ever, or that he's super popular, or that he has great ideas, or he's some sort of charismatic guy. He won because people dislike Donald Trump a whole lot. Donald Trump was responsible for getting a whole lot of people to vote for him and a whole lot of people to vote against him, and that's on him. There's a lot of things he could have said a little bit differently that I don't understand why he never, came out and said certain things or tried to squelch certain rumors. Now, I understand the media. There's no doubt that the media plays favorites, and that they definitely were against him, and they were spinning the news in an angle, to put him in the most least favorable light. And people that don't understand that or don't believe that, I feel sorry for you, because you are misinformed by quite a bit, and that's a lot of you people out there like that. And of course there's people on the right that are just the same way. They just they believe everything they hear if it comes from their party or their party's favorite news source, and that's just the truth of it. And that's why you have to be careful what you're consuming when it comes to those things, because they're not telling you the truth. They're telling you what they want you to hear, And that's just kind of the way it is. Now, whether or not the election was rigged or whatnot, I don't really know for sure. I watched the election live, and it sure looked like Donald Trump was going to win. And I was watching it live the entire time. I'm on the West Coast, so I did have a little bit of advantage, and I was watching it with our son. And I remember when one of the guys started saying, now wait a minute, they got these mail-in ballots that haven't been counted yet in some of these counties, and those are going to be heavily in Biden's favor. And that's what they said happened, of course. And Donald Trump ends up losing instead of winning, and he lost in some funny places that it didn't seem like he should have lost. Was the election rigged? I don't know, but if it was, I don't think the media would be very truthful about it. They're just not going to even allow you to ask questions about that. Free thought is gone. You're going to be told kind of what to think, and if you think outside that box or outside what they want you to think, you're going to be labeled a terrorist or something like that. Now, these Capitol riots, which that is not a cool thing to do by any stretch of the imaginations, to storm into the Capitol and start doing, whatever the heck a lot of these people were doing, with not necessarily good intentions. Now, at the same time, it could have been a lot worse. They left on their own accord. They were not removed by the Capitol Police. But leading up to that event, I kind of heard the chatter, and I saw everything going on, and I'm sitting here, telling the wife and people around me, like, I can't believe they're not doing more about all the, like, something's fixing to go down, and they're acting like it's not, and they're just, pretending it's just another day in D.C., but, people, you could, on the internet and different places, you could tell people they were ready for action. They were ready to do something, and that's just me, a lay person, just kind of reading the tenor of the conversation. So, I don't understand how, like, the FBI and NSA and all that, with all the resources they have, couldn't have had a little bit more preparation. And in fact, I think it came out that the FBI did warn everybody and said that there was a pretty credible chance of something happening that day. And I was really surprised how unprepared they were for it, how they acted so caught off guard. And again, I'm, here comes the conspiracy theorist part of me. Yeah, I think they kind of wanted it to happen. Why do they want it to happen? So they could have this inquiry that they're having right now. They could set up a commission, much like the 9/11 Commission, so that they could further erode at your rights. Now, some of you are going to cheer this on as they do this, because you think they're after people that don't think like you. And that's your own xenophobia, that you don't like other Americans that don't think like you and don't look like you. It doesn't matter what you look like. That's a type of xenophobia. It's not a good thing, and they use that to divide all of us. But yeah, you're gonna think that they're really after those bad people over there that storm the Capitol, and the people like them, and the people that think like them, and the people that vote like them, and we're gonna make sure they're never able to do this again. Those terrorists, right? But let me tell you something. That's just a ruse. They're going to erode at everybody's rights. They don't care about you. They don't have any concern about the things that you care about. That's all make-believe. The media didn't suddenly become good guys, just a few years ago. They just changed their plan. The old propaganda, the old bullshit they were shoving down everybody's throat got tired and old and too easy to see through. So they adjusted it a little bit, and now they're it appears they're on the side of social justice and all this stuff. They're just using that to play the same old games, divide and conquer. They're going to take away your rights. Who knows what's going to happen? We're getting ready to be locked down again, and some of you are going to cheer for it. You're not even going to know what's happening. And anybody that tries to speak out against it will be stamped out and labeled, some type of populist or a terrorist, or you name it. It'll be, anti-government, anti-police. I don't know. I'm just a person. I'm just making videos. I'm not trying to organize anything. If you're the government and you're watching, but really, I'm not. I'm just trying to live in this country as best I can. And you see a lot of this stuff, and it can be a little bit scary, but you mark my words, they're gonna, this whole Capitol, hearing thing they're doing, it's not meant to actually get at the truth. It's, you know, they're spinning their own false narrative. They're not really trying to find out what happened or anything like that. You know, obviously Donald Trump bears responsibility. I don't know how anyone could think that he doesn't. I mean, he basically, you know, he basically talked up this crowd, got them all, you know, angst up and pointed them towards the Capitol, and they went and they tore a bunch of stuff up. You know, some people even died, you know, and kind of unrelated, you know, but I think a heart attack or something. But people died, you know, and, you know, one lady was shot. I think maybe a guy was crushed to death. I don't know. Not a good scene at the nation's Capitol. Not a good scene at the nation's Capitol. And I'll tell you people something else now. You may think more people voted for Biden, more people voted for Trump. More people didn't vote for either one of those fools. There's a whole lot of us out there that don't care about none of that nonsense. We're not Democrats, we're not Republicans. We really think that you're all full of it. We outnumber you. And we're the ones that maybe that don't have a voice. We don't have a voice because there's no way that a normal human being could stand for everything that a party stands for, or be against everything that another party's for. That's ridiculous. That's pure brainwashing. And, you know, I would challenge anyone, you know, in person to really tell me how they could agree like that with every little thing. And, you know, that's just... this division's really hurting the country. Having that trial like that is probably hurting the country. I mean, are any of these politicians interested in any type of reconciliation and compromise and actually acting like we're one country again? I don't think they do. I think they love the division. I think they love to have us divided into factions. They can control us better that way. You know, you can, anytime, you know, one side passes a law, the other side can say, well, what about this? You know, and they just play ping pong with all these different issues with people. And, you know, you might be upset about something that this side did, and then they'll show you something the other side did that'll get you to go, well, yeah, but I'm not going to be with those people. And that's how they keep us off of our, you know, base of support. They keep us out of balance like that. And, you know, it's a sad thing. It really is a sad thing. I don't believe we really live in, you know, much of a free country anymore, that we really have free speech much anymore. You're not really allowed to vote for who you want. You got basically one or two choices, and that's pretty much it. This last election, we basically had one choice, and that was going to be Biden no matter what. He was going to win. And, of course, I think, you know, and I don't just think it, I know it, had Trump won, had he managed to win, the other side would have rioted. They were saying before, you know, like if Trump wins, we're going to burn every city in America down. I saw things like that all over the place. So, you know, there's no moral authority from either side. They're both equally as bad, equally as evil, equally as destructive, equally as bigoted, equally as racist. The two-party system is sanctioned bigotry. It's just not anything akin to real democracy, you know, where people actually have some type of choice. If it were my way, you would just make these political parties completely illegal, you know, and you just have to vote for the person who actually, you know, got up and told you their plan and, you know, what they were going to do, and, you know, you'd have to, you know, decide, you know, whether you agreed with them, kind of like judges. You know, judges, a non-party, you know, a non-party office, you know, but, you know, what the hell do I know? You know, I'm just a guy trying to raise a family here, and that's about it. But that's my opinion, and that's how I feel about those elections. You know, it's going to have a huge impact on the next elections, of course. They're passing all kinds of laws in different states, you know, horrible laws that do things like require you to show an ID to be able to vote, to prove that you're actually the person that you say you are. We wouldn't want that, would we? But, you know, and that's the other thing, is that, you know, the news creates such a narrative around this, around election laws in places like Texas and Georgia. And I've read the laws, and they just don't, which they rarely tell you what the laws are, by the way. You know, you rarely get the actual details. You're just told that this is the new Jim Crow, which, of course, everybody should be against Jim Crow. If you're not, you're a horrible, amazing racist. But so yeah, they write an article like that instead of actually telling you what the law is and then being critical of it. They can't do that because you might go, well, I don't really see what the big deal about having people show their IDs when they vote. I don't really see that, and a lot of, I don't know. I don't see a lot of funny business where I live with the elections. It looks to me like it's on the up and up. Personally, I've never felt intimidated or felt like, one party was controlling anything, or, in Nevada where I live. But, I don't know. And, hopefully that doesn't go on in other places. At the same time, these same states that are passing this law, if they didn't have such a sullied, murky past, maybe they wouldn't come under such scrutiny, because a lot of these states, in fact, have used little, creative nuances in their election laws to oppress certain people from voting. And, obviously you should be against that. And if you're not, you're a horrible person and a racist and all those other things. But nevertheless, here we are, and Joe Biden's the president of the United States, and he will be until 2024 at least, and maybe he'll be after that, or maybe, I don't know. Some people think he might be removed, and they'll put, Kamala Harris in there and make her the first woman president. Who knows? We'll just wait and see. Doesn't make never mind to me, because I didn't vote for any of these people. I don't care about them. They don't represent me. They don't represent my ideas. They're not going to do anything for me. They're just going to do the same old evil stuff they've been doing for the last, God knows how long. But here we are. Hopefully we can survive all this. I will survive all this. I'm a survivor, and I'm going to survive either way. But anyway, guys, keep your heads up, and we'll see you on the next one.